What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the podcast. We've got Caleb here, and you might not recognize Caleb if you haven't seen him in a little while. He got a haircut. I'm going to keep saying recently, but it's not recently anymore. It was like a
year
year
and a
ago.
half ago, year and a half.
But he's still a beast. He's not like Samson where he lost his powers after he got his haircut. And he did actually add some people to his family. He's got a baby, and super excited about that. And we've got a lot of other things going on as well for SheepFeet that we want to get into. Caleb he's in a long line, decades and generations of taking care of people's feet with, as you guys know about SheepFeet. If you haven't heard about SheepFeet, you're probably brand new into hunting because they are everywhere. And it's something that I highly recommend for people. I have them in all my boots. I wear them in my workout shoes. There's a lot of different options that we'll get into today. And as how you should and why I recommend SheepFeet, but also even more so the experience that Caleb has with his dad and his grandfather building into SheepFeet and what now is SheepFeet. So, and on top of all that, Caleb actually likes to hunt. He's not just selling something to hunters. He actually wants and uses the product and wants you to have a better experience, because we all know that your first connection with your hunt is your feet to the ground. And if your feet are ruined, you're going to have an awful hunt. That's just a matter of fact. No matter how heavy or light your load is, if your boots don't fit right, if your feet aren't feeling good, your hunt is going to be shot. So we're going to get into all that today. But for people that don't know who you are, Caleb, who are you?
All right, dude. John, thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be on here with you. My name is Caleb Bowden. I started SheepFeet. The company is handmade. All the products are made here in the USA. I was born and raised in Orem, Utah, and that's where everything is being produced now. And just like you said, generational things. I come from a long line of people that are in the feet industry. I don't even know what.
I don't even be taken wrong nowadays, but yeah.
Nowadays it really can be. It started like my grandpa was a podiatrist, and he was a foot doctor. And then my dad became an orthotist. So he didn't want to do all the schooling, but he still went to podiatry school for 3 years and studied the biomechanics of the foot and learned how to build braces for feet. So he came home, started an orthotics lab, and made orthotics for doctors for like 43 or 45 years, his commercial lab. And then we started SheepFeet after my last company, and he's retired from doctors now, and we just make them specifically for hunters, which is for the people we identify with, what we love, and who we want to be around, right? So it's really cool to be able to be into this industry and kind of carry on that family legacy, like you said, and just keep going.
Yeah, for sure. And I forgot to crack with this open. You should have grabbed one. I should.
You want me to go grab one right now?
Yeah, go grab one. We'll crack
Let me
one
go
together.
grab
Let's
one.
do it.
I got them in the fridge.
I need to start shipping these out to the podcast guests. That would be awesome. So what we've got here is the new Phorm Energy. This is the blue Blitz, and I'm still waiting on the Orange Fury, I think it's called, and the Grape Smash are the two that I don't. Yeah, there you go. I'm gonna start. Perfect. All right.
Mine's not really showing. I'm light.
It's all right. Let's crack it. Oh, there you go.
Mine blew all over.
I'm not gonna do there's a couple people out there that are like, no, I don't do that. That actually, there's a.
It is so good though.
Kind of to derail things a little bit here, I actually found out, my wife informed me that I have a phobia, which I'm like, okay, sure, if we need to label everything. But I was raised in the South where you have very proper table etiquette. You know where your forks line up. When you eat, your mouth is closed. You don't talk with your mouth full. That's rude. Maybe that's a Southern thing. I came out West, and it seems to be more of a Southern thing than a nationwide thing. And so, like, when I first got married to my wife, and I was like talking to the kids, and because she had 3 kids from a previous marriage they're mine, essentially. Their dad's not in the picture, but not biologically. And so they're a little older when I got to know them. And I was just like, man, like I would tell her later, I'm like, I can't stand the way they chew with their mouths open. And she's like, of course she's taking it as being critical. Well, we find out later, apparently there is a thing where, like, there's a innate, not phobia is the wrong word, but an irritation that you can't stand. And I was like, well, I wonder if that came genetically or because I was raised in the South where no one did that. And if you did, you got chewed out for it. So
Yeah,
anyway.
it's gotta be a cultural thing, would be my guess,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe genetics. But because my grandma was 100% German, and so we're very heavily German, and so it is like rules,
Mm-hmm.
rules, rules. And all growing up, that's all I remember from my mom was like, chew with your mouth closed, and like
Mm-hmm.
you'd get the look, right, the scary look, and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'll chew with my mouth closed.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
done.
Yeah. I
So
just look at my kids now and I go like just and it's more of and the whole God gave you two lips, you should close them when you chew, like kind of the kind of deal.
yeah.
And that's funny. No, I just now I tell the kids as they get older and they're getting into dating and stuff, I'm like, look, dude, honestly, if you want to make a good impression, that's one easy way. Like, you don't think about it until you are chewing with your mouth open and crabs flying out. Like,
Don't be disgusting if you want to impress a girl.
Exactly. It seems like it's common sense, but I feel like common sense isn't so common anymore. So anyway, that was kind of derailing there, slurping your drink. There's a couple.
It's funny, my wife, like, because we have like you said, we just had our first baby boy. We have another one on the way that'll be here in like a month. Number 2. We're really excited. But my wife's kind of a clean freak. And so if he has like food or stuff on his face, she's that wife that is always cleaning it off. And she always tells him, she's like, he's screaming because she's wiping his face, and she's like, we're not disgusting people, so we're gonna clean our face. We're not disgusting. So that's what she always tells him. We're not disgusting. Man.
Yeah, who knew they were going to tune into this and learn about generational things we're trying to break?
Yeah.
Oh man, I love being a dad's the best. I actually, so here, just to kind of, that's what I got for Father's Day. I'm not going to zoom in on it, but it's a Lego figure of each of me, my wife, our dog, the kids, and all of their favorite hobbies. So like they even got little pieces of the Legos made that are like, my daughter's got a gaming thing in one hand and a dumbbell in the other. The other one's dance. My wife and I have flippers on because we went scuba diving. I've got a bow. Like, just, it is, I thought it was pretty cool. I love being
that's way rad.
Yeah. My wife's very, very thoughtful in that regard. I'm like, I would have never thought of doing something like that, but glad you did.
Yeah. It's been such a crazy cool switch, especially just with hunting. Before thinking like, okay, like trying to kill big stuff, like backpack in, go hard. It's all about like the thrill and the hunt. And like, I've killed some really good animals in my life, and it was crazy to see, like, we took him hunting, Archie. His name's Archie. And that's actually my grandfather's name, who was the podiatrist. So we named him after him.
I was say that's not German related at all.
That one's not. But we actually took him hunting last year, and it's just crazy, the switch in your mind. And it instantly goes from like, I don't care at all, to like, there's so much drive for hunting that's gone out of me, where it's like, I just want to be there and like watch him see deer and like spend time with him. And it's just crazy how things completely change once you become a dad. And it's like, yeah, hunting's completely different now. And that's been really cool to experience.
So I had an interesting switch recently too, because I was thinking I was going to allow my younger kids, as they get into hunting, to shoot crossbows and then get into archery, because they have bows, they shoot them, but they're not powerful enough to kill an animal. So I wanted them to have some success thinking rifle or crossbow. And the reason I thought crossbow was the lack of kick and the lack of sound, right? You get the best of both worlds. And then I was like, I went to this rifle course where everyone had suppressed rifles. I've had a suppressor for a while, but it is on a little bit more powerful gun, 7 PRC. So it does have a little bit more of a thump to it, but it is a lot more quiet. And just talking with the guys there, they went over some calibers that are hunt friendly, as in they have enough energy to kill an animal out to a couple 100 yards, but don't kick nearly as much and are really quiet with a suppressor. And so that's when I went back into my opinion on crossbows. But I want to ask you about that, because that's a hot topic. You're an archer, but you also do rifle hunting and everything. When your kids, if they do show interest in hunting, how are you going to introduce them? What weapon are you going to introduce them with?
I mean, I think they'll be shooting bows from a really young age, just because I'm shooting a bow. and practicing, and they'll want to like do the same thing. So I'll have like the bear kids bow, like the introductory bows that they'll be able to shoot, and they'll be able to do all that. I just imagine crossbows scare me, just because kids' minds aren't ingraining things 100% completely, and they can have lapses, and I don't want like fingers cut off. All it takes is one time to get super I mean, I'm 34 years old and a deer comes out and I still get excited and forget basic principles of hunting, right? It's like, why did I just go that way and charge in? Because I'm so excited. So like now I'm going to take a young kid that's in their teens and like, don't let your hands go above this grip. Like, don't go above this line. That's where crossbows would scare me, not the part about the crossbow, but probably just have them start. I don't know. Yeah, that's a really good question. But people do it all the time. I'm just not super familiar with crossbows. I know in this out east and in the south, they use crossbows all the time. But I'll probably have them be doing a bow and then just kind of going through all the hunts, muzzleloader, rifle, just let them do it all.
I agree. And I that's kind of where my mind shifted back to. I'm actually not for, I don't like crossbows during archery season unless you're an older guy that literally cannot, because there was some 90-year-old dude that killed an amazing buck for his like 50th hunt year, or whatever, with a crossbow, which I'm like, that's cool. Keeps the guy going. He wants to do archery, whatever. But for me, I'm like, I don't know. I'm kind of not into crossbows now. Now that I've found suppressed rifles, they are superior by far.
Yeah, there is something about the hunts. Like you do the archery hunt and there's so many animals out, and it is so fun to glass a basin scouting or whatever, and it's like, oh, there's 25 bucks up there. Like this is incredible. And go through the bow hunt, it starts to dwindle down a little bit, but then when you hit the muzzleloader hunt, you get a little bit more range. It's very similar to archery hunting. We're open sites in Utah, and it's so fun, but it's like your deer numbers get cut by like, it's like, okay, I'm just seeing some of the bucks. They've rubbed, they've moved on. And then when you get to rifle, it's just so fun to be able to like, okay, I know if I find a good buck, I can reach out there and touch it. But then you're only seeing like 2 bucks or a buck, and you're waiting that 7 days hoping that one of those big bucks you've patterned will step out, and a lot of times it doesn't happen. But I just think they're all so fun, and so it kind of hurts when people are like, oh, I only bow hunt. It's like, man, it's just time to get out in the woods with your family and get out and do different things with completely different times a year. So
yeah, and I also I feel like personally, people, I've gotten some crap from people that were getting upset on a little reel that I posted about shooting over corn. And I think it was November, December last year. We dumped a bunch of corn out on my buddy's property, which was legal. And people were, really up in arms about that. I'm like, well, first off, I'm not killing a trophy buck. I'm culling does because there's too many does on this property block. And 2, I didn't sit here and say, man, like I didn't portray it as something it wasn't, is essentially what I'm getting to. Like,
right.
When people go and hunt private property, I'm like, dude, that's freaking awesome. Lucky you, to be honest. But don't go and say, oh, public land hustle when you're on private land, like,
right.
or vice versa, and that's where I feel like with the hunting industry, we should all, especially now that we've got all this crap going on with our wonderful senators trying to sell off our land.
Oh boy.
I think we all need to get together and realize that everyone's experience is different. I still 100% hands down prefer archery over any other weapon, but if it gets you out in the mountains, you're doing it safely, you're doing it ethically, I genuinely don't care what weapon you shoot.
No.
If you ask me what I'm going to go with, then I'll give you my opinion. But as far as other people, again, ethical, legal, and safe, like, go for it. Have fun. Get out in the mountains, or in the woods if you're out east or Midwest. Do whatever it takes to get out there and enjoy. And we need more people in the conservation space, because, as people start to, you can see this movement happening with this second time that they're trying to push through these millions of acres of land that could possibly be sold, and we'll never get them back. because they'll get sold to private entities and then built on, etc. We need more people to back that, whether they are rifle hunters, bow hunters, fishermen, whatever it is,
non-hunters,
yeah.
people that like hiking and camping, like that big divide in granolas or hunters coming from our side. It's like, okay, this is not a time to have a divide. Like, this is a time to get together and push this, because we all are experiencing these things, and for generations to come, for kids, for everyone. Because once that line has been drawn, like, then it's just a slippery slope, and then we've lost all the power, and who knows what comes next after that.
Exactly. It really is. And that slippery slope analogy, I mean, it's happened so many times in the past. And they may disguise things as this, I think they call it the big, beautiful bill or whatever. And so on one hand, I'm like, man, I would love for suppressors to not have to pay $200 to the government every time I wanted to get a suppressor. But at the same time, I don't want them to sell off all this land, or even, it's not that they're, and that, I think that's where people get confused a little bit too, is that it's not that they're proposing to sell off that land. It's that they're proposing to give that land back to the states. And then the states, what's going to happen is, because no one wants to cut spending. I personally have a hard time with that in my own finances, let alone, people that have government and government power. But, the whole, they'd rather sell off assets than cut spending. Right. And that's what's going to happen. And that's the slippery slope that I think some people may not realize. They're like, oh, they're not saying they're selling this and that. Well, no, they're giving it back to the states. The states are going to end up selling it off as to try and balance a budget, or to get out of debt, or whatever it is. And that's what we're concerned with.
And what else does that lead to after that? Once they have that power?
Oh yeah.
Because power and money and greed never goes to anyone's head.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really sad. I'm seeing it here on the front. Every time I go up there, and we just drove up there yesterday to look at a project that my son's working on, installing these huge, like 1,000-pound windows on this new build up there. And I just looked around. I was like, man, like, even since hunting season ended for me, the late season archery in November, December timeframe, there's even more projects that have started even higher up on the hill. And it happens every year. They push further and further up the hill. And they just added another, I think it was 2,000 late season archery hunts for deer in this area on the Wasatch Front. Why are they doing that? I mean, they won't come out and say it, but I bet it's because the politicians push the DNR, telling them, hey, we want this area for building. These people want to grow this city or whatever, and we need the deer out of that area. There's not 2,000 deer up on that hill. There's just not. Like, there, so adding that many tags, even if half of them got filled, that's awful for the deer population.
Yeah.
And
I even hear of things like people with private lands that are up in the foothills, not specifically in that area, but like they're able to call the DWR and say like, oh, there's a deer in my yard that's destroying things. And they'll give them a tag to shoot that doe. And they'll shoot like 6, 7, 8, 9 of them a year. And it's like, what, all because you're getting complaints because you're building your houses, like technically not even in the winter range. You're higher than their winter range. They should be down in the river bottoms. So it's just mind-blowing to me how one-sided it is.
Yeah, it's sad. So just, kind of circling back to, we need more people in the conservation space again, whether it's the people that enjoy going to Yellowstone and seeing the pretty much petting zoo animals that are out there at this point, or the don't go pet them, guys. Don't be stupid. Don't be those
the buffalo petters.
Yeah, exactly. Jeez. Or if you're a hunter and you're concerned about public land access, some of these things too. I was looking at the map, the land would cut off a big chunk of public land, and good luck knocking on that person's door and getting their permission to walk through their yard to get access to the public land. Like, again, it's something that I feel like is being spoken about a lot, and I hate harping on things, but again, this is one of those big issues that we need to be getting a hold of our senators and letting them know, hey, we don't want you to vote for this. Even though, like I said, there are some benefits to the bill. There's the suppressor end of the bill. And it's funny to see my feed. I see all my hunting buddies, you know, and everyone sharing the land sell off. And then I have my other rifle buddies and suppressor companies that are like, we need to get this bill passed because then you'll no longer have to pay for the tax stamp. And I'm like, I'm sitting here right here in the middle. I'm like, gosh dang, why can't we just like split the bill in half and let's do this and let's not do that? You know, that would be super nice. And they just wrap it up.
Yeah. I'm more than happy to put earplugs in with my rifle without a suppressor.
Yep.
And be able to go on those public lands.
I'll say I'll pay the $200 if it means, right. And that's what I'm saying. I err on that end because that's a bigger battle in my opinion than the suppressor thing. The suppressor thing has been supposedly worked on for probably decades at this point. But I'm okay paying the $200 tax stamp if I need to get suppressors because, again, I do think that's something that we do wrong in our country versus like European countries where they essentially urge you to buy a suppressor when you buy a rifle because it's considered rude if you don't, which if anyone's been to the range with someone that's got a big muzzle brake on and shooting 300 PRC, it is a little rude. It is a little rude.
It's kind of crazy how you go to other countries. Like I was in Africa a few years ago and every single gun has a suppressor on it. And they're just like $30 down at the store. Like, no, this is hearing protection. It's like, yeah, but it's not really portrayed that way here.
It's James Bond.
It's really weird.
You know? Yeah. The only James Bond or movie quiet suppressor that I've encountered is subsonic 22 long rifle with a suppressor on it. And that's it. And that's the only time where I can genuinely say the slide racking back was louder than the gun going off. Outside of that, it just brings it down to hearing safe level. You know, so anyway, harped on that enough. I feel like let's get back to SheepFeet. So let's talk a little bit about the importance of taking care of your feet. So for me personally, I started hiking in Keens, were the first boots that I rocked for a while because they were the wider version of the Merrells essentially. And I've got a nice wide Hobbit foot. And so the problem that I encountered though was anytime I'd put any kind of weight in my backpack, my soles would collapse. So they're great for hiking, just like all the, you know, Kelty, Osprey backpacks, things like that. Great for backpacking and hiking, lightweight, awesome. You put any weight in it and it collapses on you. And so then I went on to search, you know, and I genuinely didn't want to spend the money on Crispies, but I knew they were the ones that fit the best. Got my first set of Crispies and then came across SheepFeet because, to be honest, Crispy insoles suck. Like they might as well have stuck a sheet of paper in there and charge you $50 for it because that's really that's what it is. And so came across your stuff and SheepFeet was awesome. I might have heard it through maybe my first elk shape camp I went to or something along those lines. And then found out you guys were HSA, FSA approved, which anyone that has an HSA or an FSA card or account, they are approved for that. So that is another negotiating thing. You can go and tell your wife, I need these. and you know, we've already been putting money into this account. I don't need any surgeries this year. I would like a couple $100 to grab a couple sets of SheepFeet and go from there. But let's kind of walk through the lineup. So you guys now 3D print the hard portion of the sole. So let's go through that process. Say someone says, hey, I've got some hurting feet. I know I've got a good boot. I'm running, you know, whether it's Kinetrex or Crispies or Lacrosse or whatever the good boot is that they have. And they're like, I need to change my insoles. I've tried even SuperFeet or some of the other ones that are out there. I don't know all of them. I need to step up the game. I don't want to go to a foot doctor. What do they do when they contact you?
Yeah. So real quick before that, what the best way, some people will say a big thing we hear all the time is like $200, a couple $100 for a pair of insoles. Like this isn't a crazy price, but what people don't understand is SheepFeet are a custom orthotic, and this is way different than an insole. There's layers. There's a stock insole that you get in your Crispies from your boot company, which is They can't build an insole out to a foot shape, a boot company, because they would be cutting off a specific demographic or a specific foot shape. And everybody's feet are completely different. So they make just a very run-of-the-mill flat insole that can go in their boots. And then they're going to let the person that buys their boot, that customer, find something aftermarket that fits their foot the best. So then you move up from stocks into just run-of-the-mill insoles like a SuperFeet and off the shelf, a size 9, 10, 11 in the store. Those can work for certain people. But like I said, not everybody's foot the same. So a lot of people will say, oh, I tried SuperFeet. They hurt my feet. Some people will say, I tried SuperFeet. Like, I really liked them. They helped a lot. Yeah, it's because you have a foot shape that worked with that insole and that insole's generic shape. A lot of those insoles, they use a lot of just cheap EVA foam, and we call it packing and wrapping, and they just like put a big arch and they wrap it around the sides, and EVA foam packs out extremely quickly. So wherever there's a weight bearing point, it will pack down to pretty much like a piece of paper, super flat. I'm sure you've noticed that if you've ever pulled an insole out of your boot or shoe or something. So they're just expecting you like, hey, this isn't going to be fit like everybody's feet. So we want this to pack out if they have a spot that's not fitting properly, and then it will do that. But the problem is when you are stepping on it, like you were saying, John, and your arches are collapsing or like your body weight's rolling in on that, those flimsy insoles, they don't have a ton of support to keep your foot from improperly collapsing or rolling in. So then that takes us to what we are is a custom orthotic, and that is just the pinnacle, the top level. The best way to understand what a custom orthotic is take 2 hunting packs, for example, okay? Like you were saying, a hiking, like an Osprey or something like that. Take one of those packs and then take a frame pack for hunting. So if you have a pack with a frame and a pack without a frame, you have an elk down and you're going to go pack this animal out. 10 times out of 10, you're going to choose the pack with a frame pack. So that's exactly what SheepFeet is. It is essentially a frame for your foot. It's very rigid plastic. The only way we can go this rigid, like I said earlier, everybody's feet are different, is if we know exactly how your foot is shaped. So that's where we take and get a replica of your foot and we build this frame specifically to your foot. So when you insert it into your boots, everyday shoes, whatever it isn't going to let your arches collapse and go past level anatomical alignment where your body's supposed to be. Your foundation's supposed to be at level, which can hurt knees, hips, back, all those things, because it is a medical device. That's why you can use an HSA and FSA card on it. So we get your exact foot shape. We make this for your feet. Then when you put them in your boots and you step in them, you now have a frame system for your foot in your boots, making your custom boot system complete. So it's a huge difference. So people will say like, I can't believe it's a couple $100, but in reality, like it's a couple $100. It's going to last you 7 years on average. In 3 years, and so this is everyday use. In 3 years, when you start to wear that cushion out, send it back into us. We'll recover it with new cushion. We'll tear it down to this frame and recover it so you can put it back in your boots. You're able to rotate it between all your boots and shoes, everyday use, not just for hunting. Really, it's for everything. And you're able to have that comfort and that protection throughout each day. So over time, yeah, it's pennies a day for the custom supportive medical benefits, preventing injuries, comfort that you get compared to buying a $60, $70 pair of SuperFeet off the shelf that they say lasts 500 miles or a year. And some dudes that hunt hard are going through multiple pairs of those a year. Mm-hmm. So it's just a big step up from an insole, a custom orthotic, which is a custom frame for your foot.
And you're not getting the customer support. That's the other thing too that people don't realize, whether you're talking about Montana Knife Company, your company, et cetera. People look at the price tag and they're like, well, I could find this cheaper over here. Yes, but you use the key word cheaper. It's cheaper because they're using cheaper materials. They're using less durable materials. And on top of that, you're not getting the benefits of the customer support that you're going to get out of, in this case, SheepFeet, or, I brought up Montana Knife Company has excellent customer support. You guys are the same way. You have an issue. I've been there in the shop multiple times, and you've talked about how either someone didn't do the proper mold fitting, which we'll get into how that has changed now recently as well. But if someone didn't do it properly, you didn't just look at them and say, well, guess you effed up, go buy another pair. Like some companies will. You're like, look, we get it. We're going to try and, arrange this and make sure it fits right. Obviously if you have to do the mold, which right now is for Android users, correct?
iPhone. Yeah, there's two different ways that we do it.
Well, sorry, I was saying you still ship out the molds to people
the mold.
that
Yes,
have Androids.
You're correct. Sorry.
You're good. You're good. So if you have that and maybe you're at Western Hunt Expo or something like that, you see the SheepFeet booth, I would highly recommend having Caleb help you. And don't worry, he deals with feet all day, so don't worry about pulling your feet out of a sock, I hope people can get weird about that. And I'm sure you deal with it all the time, but having them do it, if you're worried about that in and of itself, but also there's a really awesome method that they've been developing for a while now that came out recently. That is super cool. I've used it, got another pair set up based on it. And I will say they definitely fit even better than the ones that I did the mold with, but let's talk about that. So you place your order online, you have an iPhone, and then you get this link.
Yeah, this all kind of ties into it. Like if you're someone and you wanted to go get cheaper, like you can go get an insole that's made from China, mass produced. Like we're very proud that we're a USA made company, and like all of our employees, everything is built here in Orem, Utah. And it is generations. So you could go to someone that's just making something to a generic foot shape, or made in the USA, generational knowledge on the feet. And also we took the time to we had a really big backlog before hand making them the old plaster way. So we need to advance in technology. So we developed an app, and this app is for iPhone users. I wish Androids could do it. They can't. It uses the depth camera on the front of the iPhone, this one right here. So this is the one that unlocks your phone with the facial recognition. So what it does is when we take a picture on our app, it sends out 1 million depth measurements, and each one of those 1 million points gives us a depth measurement. And then once from that picture, we're able to bring it in, and it gives us a 3D model of your foot. Super crazy. So instead of like we have to do if you don't have an iPhone, which is still good, pour it with plaster, send you the kit, you ship it back to us, then we pour it with plaster, and we do everything off of that. This just speeds it up by like 2 weeks in production, and it's more accurate. Some people are like, oh, I don't understand how that could be more accurate. One, your foot's not taking weight. We try and do it non-weight bearing, but if someone pushes their foot too much off to the side in that foam doesn't come out. Like it's been pushed in and flattened out and imprinted. And so like there is some weight which can cause the arches to collapse, where we take a picture of the foot, non-weight bearing, up in the air, and we get a 3D model of it. And we have algorithms built in to like recreate certain parts if it doesn't get it. And I mean, we're like so exact that we just do measurements over and over again. And it's crazy how exact it is. And we're just not off with the tech.
Seeing the technology there in person. I mean, it blows my mind that you're able to do that, but I think it's awesome at the same time. Again, taking the whole, you guys shipping a box out to the person, and then, it going back to you guys having to, do the plaster mold and then do it based on that. It's crazy to think of the time that you've cut being able to do that as well. It really is something that, and I will say, just kind of a side note here, he is telling the truth that is in Orem. I know he's not blonde hair, blue eyed like most people in Utah Valley, but but he is in Orem and was built in Orem, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah.
But the whole idea behind SheepFeet, guys, is honestly, and I talk about them to anyone that I talk with, or if you've been hunting with me and I pull my boots off, first off, I'm sorry. Second off, with those we've had the discussion of the insoles that I pull out to air out, and they're pretty sweet. I definitely really can't preach enough how important those things are, because again, there's a couple things that can ruin a hunt, especially if you are into backpack hunting, which I'm not so much. But even on those long days where you're putting in 10 miles or so round trip, crossing creeks, things like that, your feet really can cripple or make your hunt, depending on which way you decide to go. So why not invest in it? Instead of trying 15 different pairs of boots, why not get a set of SheepFeet and see if that'll fix the boot problem that you currently have?
We hear it a ton. Like, guys are like, oh, I have 2 pairs of X boot company in my closet that I can't wear. And I like this. They get a pair of SheepFeet, they email us in and they're like, I just tried it. I thought I'll throw them in my boots and see. And they're like, now I can wear them. I love them. It's because their foot, all that negative space in the foot where you didn't have support is now being supported. So your foot can relax, distribute the weight, and it makes them extremely comfortable. So like, yeah, you can get, if you have some of those boots, definitely you can get more life out of boots that were uncomfortable, and it makes them really comfortable.
Right. Yep. And there's a ton of different options. We'll run through them real quick. Just with the foam, you've got the deluxe foam and then the standard. If you like a little bit more cushion, maybe you have a little extra room in your toe box, that would kind of be the way to go. I prefer those in my hunting boots. Sometimes, again, depending on how much room you have in the toe box, sometimes you have to go half size up if you want the extra cushion. Just depends on what you've got going on there. And then in my regular shoes, workout shoes, daily drivers, I like the standard. That seems to feel a little bit better. I don't need as much cushion because I'm not putting 80, 100 pounds on my back, packing out animals. And then you've got the heel stabilizer option versus non-stabilized.
Heel stabilizer's gone.
Oh,
so
okay.
Yeah, so your standard is about on average the same thickness as the standard insole that comes in your boots. So like if you like the boot volume that you have, standard is a good way to go. Also on the website, we've finished up what's called like the site quiz, where like it walks you through it. So if you're like one of those people that's like, I just didn't know which option to pick. Now there's only 2 options, standard and deluxe. But there is a very simple quiz where it asks you the questions, what your activities are, weight, like it gets all of the factors. And then it's like, this is the orthotic for you. So we're talking through these options. The site quiz does it in like 8 questions, and it's like, here you go. And people will get a perfect fit every single time. So standard, the 2 reasons you do it is if you want to move this pair of orthotics around between like all your different shoes and boots. Standard is pretty good because no matter if 3 or 4 different pairs of your boots have different fits, it's probably going to work in all of them. There's an extremely high chance of that. Some people will do it for that, for everyday shoes, work boots. If your hunting boots fit snug, and a good gauge is like, do my toes ever hit the front of my hunting boots? If the answer is yes, you want to go standard, right? But if you're like, no, I fit my boots so there's a little bit of room so I don't get black toe and have toenails falling off, which is what we call a half size big or like true fit. If you fit them so you can layer a sock and your toes don't hit the front, the deluxe is only a 1/16 of an inch more cushion, but it is quite a bit of feeling of cushion underneath the foot. That's what I run through all of my everyday shoes and everything. So those are the only 2 options. The heel stabilizer, we used to do it, but once we 3D printed it, we were able to, man, I don't know if this is going to pick this up, but you can see this spot right here that's flat. It is all integrated into the heel now. Nice. All these tricks. And we are so close to 0 drop, which means this point right here, some people will wonder if these are going to lift your foot up too high in the boot. No, you can push down on this and you can see the flex. We are just thick enough so that it's not going to compromise and break. Even if it like was thin and it kind of broke there, it wouldn't affect it at all. But like, it's not going to lift it. It's been integrated in, so it's more low profile in your boots, streamlined, not taking up the room, but giving you maximum support. So those are really the only 2 options, standard and deluxe.
Yeah. I had forgotten about that, but yeah, that's that I remember having that discussion with you now because you were trying to figure out how not to make it so thin that you break through, but thin enough that you can make a flat spot. So yeah, sweet. That's awesome.
And like you said earlier, if anyone has any questions, like just send us an email. Customer service will get back to you, or hit the customer service call on the website. Yep. Give us a call and we can help. you walk you through it. But the quiz on the top of the website or on each product page, like just answer those couple simple questions and it will pop you out exactly what would be done and you're good to go. Add it to cart.
Perfect. Yeah. And we're talking about pricing a little bit too. I forgot to plug my code here. We've got code RedBeard. It'll save you some money. So there you go. That'll also talk to your wife about the HSA card and code RedBeard, and you should that'll get you sold.
So and if you use RedBeard this month, so we are in June, we're running our Father's Sale to celebrate dads. Like the whole entire month, we run our 25% off Father's Sale. If you use that code right now, it's going to save you that 25% with your code. And
you can win the CVA muzzleloader, right?
Yeah, so we have 2 giveaways going during, I think when you launch this. We're giving away a Hoyt bow during the orders that come in during the sale. Every $1 is an entry that you spend. And also during the week,
3 sets and get
tons of entries
hoodie, and get your socks and get your stealth bombers, which we're going to go into all those. But anyway.
Yeah. So any $1 you spend during this week when this launches, it'll be entries to win a Hoyt bow and a CVA muzzleloader. So like the hunts are coming, we're all stoked. So we wanted to give away a bow and a muzzleloader to people. The muzzleloader
makes a really good muzzleloader. They
my
are
favorite.
What I would describe as the higher end. Well, obviously they make some more economical ones as well, but they are the higher end of muzzleloaders before you get into custom muzzleloaders.
Yes,
they're a really good muzzleloader.
I have one of their custom, like their Paramount. It's awesome. And I have one of their Acuras, which I used last year. It's awesome. But since I was 12 years old, I just remember having a wolf on my shoulder. And I still take that wolf with me when I do some backpacking hunts, just because it's that's what I've experienced my whole life. And the wolf is their lowest basic muzzleloader. But yes, I love CVA. They're a great company, amazing people over there. Oh, yeah. And so we really wanted, hey, let's give away a bow this month and the CVA.
CVA is tied in with Bergara too, for people that are more on the rifle scene. They're in the same umbrella as Bergara. Company. So yeah, again, higher echelon of production rifles and production muzzleloaders. And then the Hoyt bow.
Yeah, that muzzleloader giveaway is only for orders this week though. So you have a really good chance. Let's get in the drawing and also get in on the Hoyt bow, which we'll announce at the end of the month.
Oh, for sure. That's freaking awesome. And yeah, so 25% off through the month of June. If you're hitting this after the month of June, you can still save some money.
Still use RedBeard.
But yeah, the 25% off is awesome. So we're going to talk a little bit about, of course, you want to pick up the SheepFeet, but also there's a couple of other options as well. I'm not going to dive too far into them because I'm not a waterfowl hunter or a fly fisherman at heart. I would love to if I had more time, but if I got into those things, I'd probably end up divorced, and I'd rather have a family than some ducks on the wall. So we've got Deek feet and Creek feet.
Yes,
which
sir.
will go into your waders and your boots for there you go.
Yeah, so we launched Deek feet and Creek feet about April. I think March or April. So what's so cool, I'm a huge avid waterfowl hunter. Rubber boots have no support. And I'm so excited for these, because not even for waterfowl, just rubber boots, hitting the fields with geese, whitetail, working around the property. There's a way bigger need in support in rubber boots, whether it's waders or rubber boots, than there is for hunting boots, like a leather Western hunting boot. These also work in the leather hunting boot. But Deek feet are amazing. They have a neoprene top cover, so it's that waterproof. We don't want this top cover to absorb any moisture and keep wet moisture next to foot. So we do a neoprene top cover. It also adds a layer of insulation under your foot. So if you are sitting in a whitetail stand, that's going to be awesome. But it just gives those rubber boots so much more support to allow you to stay in them all day without the foot fatigue that comes with it. I actually used Deek feet in all my hunting boots last year, Western hunting. Used them when I was in Alaska, used them in everything. Only downside where you wouldn't want to do that is if you have a really hot foot that sweats a lot. If you're a profuse sweater, the neoprene's not going to be really conducive to that.
Yeah.
But if you don't, then man, you could run this and have it multi-purpose for all of them. We're super excited for this. I'm really excited to be able to start to kind of go out and rub shoulders with people in the whitetail space, because I've never done that. So that's always been a huge like draw to me. Like it's really, really cool. So I'm really excited for this in waterfowl. And then creek feet. This is our fly fishing orthotic. It has fish scales on the bottom, but
that's cool.
For fly fishing boots, kind of the same principle. Like when you're on the river, those rocks, that's a lot more uneven than most of us come across when we're out hunting big game. And those people that are avid fly fishermen, like, man, that can wreck their feet. It can wreck their knees being on that uneven terrain all day long on the river. And so these are just the frame, but it's still super comfortable because it's custom to your foot, but it's able to just go right into your wading boots. And then once you put your waders on with your neoprene sock, you just put them in your boots on top of this, and you're locked in and ready to go for the river. People also use these in your everyday shoes, dress shoes. You don't need the cushion on top to make them super comfortable. So those are really cool for people that fly fish as well.
Sweet.
Those are
awesome.
Those are 3 categories right now when it comes to the custom foot frames.
Love it. That's awesome. Now let's dive into the non-feet. Well, I guess we could do socks and then go to the non-feet accessories. So
heck yeah,
socks. I was running the socks since, I can't remember when you gave them to me, but I think it was
end of last year?
Yeah, it was the end of last year. But
maybe it was before hunts. I don't remember.
I might have had a pair of them before the hunts. But anyway, those are the socks that I've been running. There were some different iterations of them that have come out, but now you have a light and a heavy, or a
midweight.
Okay.
Yeah, midweight. So we have these are our performance merino wool socks. What's so cool? Well, this took us about 1.5 years in development, because what we found is to make a complete foot system, there's 3 different sides. There's your frame, your foot frame, your boot, a really good boot, and a really good merino wool sock, to try and make it so we don't have to take a morning off during a hunt, or we don't have to stop, and because you never know when you're going to get that one shot, right? So we've been developing these. These are incredible. We noticed there wasn't a really good lightweight sock on the market. Most of your hunters are running like your Darn Tough, your Feet to Farm, and they have a really good merino wool sock. But man, if you're in early season, or you're just a hunter that's going to cover country and is moving a lot, or your feet sweat profusely, those thicker socks, they just soak your feet during the day. And that's what we don't want. So the first thing we developed was our lightweight merino wool sock, and they are left and right foot specific. So what this means is,
I will say my wife kind of laughed at me. She was like, "Oh, really? You need a right and left sock?" I'm like, yes. No, hold on. There's technology here. I'm telling you, it's not that I need them labeled so I can pair them up properly.
Yeah, so every single section on this sock is a completely different performance knit, where if you looked at like a Darn Tough or one of these other merino wool companies, it's still just a tubular design. They might adjust the thickness a little bit in an area, but they just keep it tubular, so you can put that on your left or your right foot, which means that sock isn't going to lock into place, and when it starts stretching out, it can stretch out weird in different places. And they compensate by just making it a lot smaller. But like our shin knit is completely different to our calf knit, completely different to our top of foot, which is a breathing net. Completely seamless toe closure. We have our zone cushioning on the bottom and our air channels underneath the foot in between the cushioning to help with that moisture wicking. And it's a high merino wool sock. So with this left and this right specific, we call it sock lock. When you put it on and you get the sock into place, it's going to lock into place, and it's going to allow the merino wool and the sock to function so there's no blisters, and really hug you snug better than any other sock on the market. So we are super excited about these, and people have just been going nuts about them, honestly. Like Corey Jacobson said, they're the socks he's been searching for 10 years. He's like never found a sock, and he's stoked that there's finally been a performance sock that's been built. That's merino
awesome.
wool. So we do this in the lightweight and we do this in the midweight. Only difference is the thickness of the weight of the yarn. So thicker yarn gives you a thicker sock, midweight. And then we also have the zoned, I thought I grabbed it, I didn't, but we have the shin cushions for if it starts to take up too much, we got a little bit of a buffer going up the tongue of your boot and the shin. So same technology, same performance knit, same merino wool technology as the lightweights within the midweights. These are incredible. Guys are buying one, they're coming back and buying like 5-6 more pairs. So super cool.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and that's definitely a, you know, again, good boot, good insole, good socks. Your feet will they'll thank you later when you're packing out that tag that you filled. So perfect. So we've got that, and then I guess, well, I said non-foot related, but I guess the next one, stealth bombers, is still foot related. So
still foot related.
The stealth bombers are the stalking shoe, honestly, that I've been looking for, because I was looking at, there's some other ones out there that are good, but generally if they're like a thick leather, they're slippery on the bottom. If you hunt anywhere out west, Idaho, Utah, you've got steep up and down hills. You may not realize how slippery it is. Maybe you've got a good traction on your boots, but then you take those off and you put something that's thick, thick leather, and you're going to go sliding down the hill. There's no secrecy about that. Like, you're just going to bust all the animals out. So what I really liked about the stealth bombers, and I did a video on them, but I walked around with them on purpose for, I think it was somewhere between 3 and 5 miles one day, just to see, because they have a really thick felt sole on the bottom, which allows you to be quiet, but I also have the knobbies there to help with a little bit of grip, so you're not sliding all over the place. And they're super comfortable. They really are like a sock. They fit your foot very similar to a sock. So walk us through your stealth bombers.
Yeah, we as SheepFeet, we want to focus on the foot and like do everything that makes your foot situation better. So we just noticed that there was a big gap with a stocking and a hunting shoe, more specifically an all-around hunting shoe, because there's a lot of situations where you're lacking with all those. So we wanted to come up with a shoe that is multifunctional, that can cover almost every situation you could possibly be in for hunting. So that's where the stealth bombers came in. It is a felt bottom, so it's going to be really quiet when you're out hunting. But it's also a compressed felt, which means it gives you support. Unlike other shoes, like stocking shoes, you're going to feel rocks through them. A lot of times you can feel cactus through them, depending on the material. And so this gives you the support to where you could stay in them if you needed to for miles and miles. A guy blew out his boots in Colorado last year. He emailed us in. He's like, dude, I was in 8 miles and I blew out my one boot. Like it got caught and ripped the sole. The sole completely ripped up and off. And so I threw these stealth bombers on and I hiked out with my camp after I was done hunting that day, glassing. I put my camp on, hiked out the 8 miles, and he's like, it was incredible. He's a lifelong customer, threw his orthotics in them and just went. But it can do it without orthotics. So the support is good for that. Our sky knit upper is a stretch knit upper, like you were saying, just like a sock. So it's easy for you to pull it and like quickly slip your foot in. So you don't have to lace anything up. And that comes back to our complete foot strapping system, which is really cool. You just walk it back as you go and then tighten that up and then put it back through here, feed it through. This is kind of hard to do without looking at it, but pull it through and then you're tight there. And then it has complete heel locks on it to pull and lock your foot in, so that if you're on those steep angles, let's say specifically for stocking, pull them on and then lock your foot into place, no sliding. You got your grip nose on the felt and you're able to stock in and honestly stay in them. If a shot goes bad and you wanted to try and keep visual, you don't have to worry about getting back to your boots or being in your socks.
Yep. Yeah.
Dude, they're 6 ounces a shoe. They're super lightweight. Like, use them to cross rivers. They're like the croc killers, honestly, around camp. Get up to take a piss, cross rivers in them, click them back on your pack. They'll dry out really quick. Still hunting them. Like, dudes are using them for everything. Hunting antelope in the Dakotas all day long in them, just like running and gunning. So we're really excited about this. It's a shoe that's made to do a little bit of everything really, really well that you can use anywhere in hunting.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I stepped on some things that I probably would have avoided in socks just to see with that felt sole, and it really does a good job of protecting your feet. You know, I think I'm trying to remember. Yeah, last September I stalked into a cow. I think it was over 500 yards, stalked into 60 yards. She ended up winding me. The wind swirled, but she had no idea I was there. And I'm not quiet. I'm not a quiet walker by any means. But they definitely do better than the boots, 100%. And they do better than any socks that you could, a lot of people just slip their boots off and go in, or they bring an extra pair of socks to slip over so they have a little bit more protection. These things are fantastic. And then, like you said, you can even put your insoles in them if you're looking to hike in them in a longer distance. Or if you're one of those barefoot people, maybe you should have someone run like an ultra marathon in those things.
Yeah.
Those barefoot fanatics, they would love that shoe.
They really might. I've never thought of that. It would be a good idea to have someone running them.
I'm going to do deadlifts today. I'm going to go and I'm going to rock those shoes today. Now I'm thinking about
heck
some barefoot shoes on.
Wear these for deadlifts. That would be sweet. Yeah, they're socks are probably as quiet as you could ever go. Mm-hmm. These are, so what we've been telling people is like, in order to get all the functions out of these things, like if let's say you're just a sound snob and you always have an extra pair of socks in your pack, we've just told guys that are like, I need it as ultra quiet as possible. Like just pull a pair of socks on top of these. And that's going to like do it. Like have your pair of stocking socks there, or a pair of socks that you can switch out on your feet. Like you can pull a pair of socks over these or wear these until you get within 30, 40 yards and then just quickly pull your foot out and close the last 10 yards if you're like super close and worried about it. But you don't have to. Like it always comes down to like play the wind and like take your time and watch where you step, because like you could go kill it in a pair of boots, right? Mm-hmm. You could stalk into 10 yards in a pair of hunting boots, but there's just you have a less room for error with that situation, where this is going to give you like, oh, I screwed up, I stepped on the wrong thing, it wasn't as loud.
Yeah.
So
and you can feel the ground underneath you too if you're locked in on the animal and you kind of use your feet to feel where you're stepping. You can feel it a lot better with this than you do boots. And again, the protection for me is worth it. But if you, again, like you said, a sound snob, then just take your socks off. What are you doing? Don't be a pansy.
Yeah, and we are gonna be coming out with just a quiet specific model next year of the stealth bombers, but you're gonna lose all of the all around functionality. They're not going to be as durable. They're not going to be able to like cover as much country in them. It's literally like I put them on just for my stock and take them off. So you just pick and choose, but like that would be a sound specific model next year.
Sweet. Well, that's awesome. And then I'm trying to think, the only thing we haven't touched on is the hideout hoodie, right?
Hideout hoodie. Yeah. Hideout hoodie's a grid fleece. It's a midweight grid. Nice. So it's a midweight grid fleece. It's a little bit heavier. So like in the summertime, early mornings would be fine. It's just going to heat up quick. But like this is the layer that I use all the time. We're not an apparel company. As people might understand, it's kind of hard to see SheepFeet when they're in people's boots. So this is just the all around like layer that I use next to skin is a midweight grid fleece. But the hideout pocket, what you're seeing right now, is really different because it's a windproof, waterproof, 4-way stretch membrane, and the inside of the pocket is fleece lined. So it is a built-in hand warmer for your hands. So, I mean, this is the only pocket that I run, or the only shirt that I run with a heavy coat.
I feel like you guys are trying to compete with Sitka a little bit there on their ambient hoodie.
You know it, dude. No. No, we just wanted to develop a really good hoodie that people would wear that would get our logo seen a little bit more. And, so it's a cool layer. It's a really cool layer, and high zipping face, cuts the wind off.
Let's see here. I don't know if you guys can see in the camera there, that grid though, there's a lot of breathability in there. So it's a little bit heavier than something you'd maybe wear in the summertime, but
yeah, when you hit like muzzleloader rifle though, like it's game on.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Yep.
Sweet. And
Yeah, that's
they
awesome.
come in this color and black. Right?
And black. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yep.
And then we also have the rugged laces, which is almost like an indestructible boot lace. Like it's fire resistant, waterproof, 1,000-pound break strength, like a survival type of a lace. Like no more boot laces breaking. Like the rugged laces, they don't break. Abrasion resistant, like they're gonna go through boot after boot after boot. So those are the products we offer right now.
Sweet. No, I love it. It's there's definitely a good lineup there for people. Again, if you're looking to get as many points as possible, heck, it's a buy 3 get 1 free SheepFeet, right? With the 25% off. But no, really though, I recommend personally getting at least, I'd say start with 1, but if you have it in your budget, get 2. 1 for your everyday shoe, everyday driver, and then 1 for your hunting boots. So you're not, I just, again, like the deluxe for the hunting, and then the standard for daily. You run deluxe and everything. It's all a feel thing as well, whatever you prefer. But I will say, just try them. I mean, it's not going to hurt you to go out and try them. You've probably, if you are looking for a better insole, you've probably already spent more than 1 set of SheepFeet on buying SuperFeet or something else, and they've worn out or didn't work or whatever it may be. So before you go and buy a new set of boots, try some SheepFeet. And then again, if you guys need some new socks or anything along those lines, I love the stalking shoe that Stealth Bomber does an amazing job. So again, just highly recommend going and checking it out. Can't recommend it enough. Great customer service. Caleb's an okay dude. Now that he's cut his hair, he was really cool, but no. Caleb's a really good dude. I highly recommend going and supporting local companies. And of course, SheepFeet is getting into, again, if you haven't seen a SheepFeet ad or heard about SheepFeet from your buddies that hunt, then you must be really new into hunting, honestly. Like, you guys are everywhere.
I'm sure there's a lot of them that haven't.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Well, that's awesome. Anything else you want to touch on before we wrap it up here?
Oh, dude, I just appreciate you spending time, letting me sit down, hang out for a little bit. You're always the best. I love talking with you. So no, it's really fun. If anyone has any questions, like I said, reach out to us. The website, SheepFeetOutdoors.com. There's the quiz. They're HSA, FSA card approved. They last 7 years. Just try it, like you said, really, and get into it. We have a satisfaction guarantee. So like if something doesn't right, because feet are finicky, we always do free adjustments. So we'll adjust it time after time and try and get it right. And if we can't, then we'll get you taken care of and get you your money back. So just reach out to us, try it out, and you won't be unhappy.
You won't regret it.
Yeah, everybody's always like, man, I can't believe I didn't do this sooner. It's not the flashiest piece of hunting gear, but it's one of those pieces of hunting gear for your health and your comfort so that you can keep going.
Exactly. Can't recommend it enough, guys. Definitely go check out SheepFeet. And again, like Caleb was saying, if you are listening to this in June, code RedBeard gets you 25% off. Get entered in for the Hoyt bow. If you're listening to this on the day it came out, you've got a couple days to get entered for the CVA muzzleloader. So you can get double entries there as far as both giveaways. So definitely go check it out, guys. Highly recommend it. Thanks again, Caleb, for your time today.
Thank you.
It's not like you're running a crazy busy business or have a family and kids. So taking time out to make a podcast with me is awesome. And I always appreciate it. All right, guys. Like I always say, get out, live your life, and love it.